All right, let's get into something wild. We're going to play with a thought experiment today that basically flips everything you know about money completely on its head. What if your wealth, your cash, had a 1 year lifespan? Let's see what happens.
So let's just dive right in. I want you to really picture this. Every single bit of cash you have, every dollar, every rupee, whatever, becomes totally worthless at the stroke of midnight on December 31st. Poof, gone. What would a world like that actually feel like? Well, for one, the whole year would get this crazy predictable rhythm. January 1st would be this huge global festival, right? Everybody's back to zero, a totally fresh start. But December 31st? Oh, that's not a party. That is a frantic global clearance sale where everyone is desperately trying to get rid of their expiring money. Okay, so let's start with the most immediate thing. What does this do to you? To me? How does our daily life just completely transform into this constant, stressful race against the clock? The first thing to go right out the window is the whole concept of saving. I mean, why would you? Why would you hoard cash if you know it's just going to evaporate? Instead, life becomes less about planning and more like a video game that you have to speed run, just spending as fast as you possibly can. To survive in this world, you'd need a whole new set of, well, life skills. Impulsive buying isn't a flaw anymore. It's a necessity. You'd see families doing what you could only call Olympic-level budgeting, trying to perfectly time their last dollar to hit zero right at midnight. And get this, the psychological toll would be huge. Therapy would be booming because people would feel this immense guilt for not enjoying their expiring money enough. Crazy, right? And you'd see culture adapt in some really specific ways. For example, you would see an absolute explosion in December weddings. Why? Well, it's the perfect excuse. As the old saying goes, after the wedding, the money's going to be zero anyway, so why not have a massive last-minute spending blowout? So here's the real kicker on a personal level. Our ability to plan for the future, for retirement, for our kids' education, for basically anything down the line, is completely torched. If the main tool you use for planning is temporary, well, guess what? Your plans become temporary too. All right, so let's zoom out. We've seen what it does to the individual, but what about society as a whole? How would our biggest institutions and, the different economic classes, how would they all adapt to this scramble? You'd have some very clear winners and losers right away. Governments, oh, they would absolutely love this system. Why? Because tax evasion pretty much dies overnight. You can't hide cash under the mattress if that mattress is going to catch fire on January 1st. But the banks? They'd be in a full-blown five-alarm panic. The entire idea of a savings account becomes completely and utterly meaningless. Now, what's really fascinating here is that even in a system this radical, inequality finds a way to survive. The rich, they just adapt. They spend the year converting their expiring cash into lasting assets, property, art, gold, you name it. The middle class, though, they are trapped in this endless, high-stress cycle of meticulous spending, and the poor, they are, as always, the most vulnerable. And that brings us to this number, 0. This is the amount of long-term savings the poor have. They never had the spare capital to convert into assets in the first place, so they're left with absolutely nothing to carry over into the new year. They are completely dependent on the next cycle, every single time. Okay, so we've looked at the personal and the societal shifts. Now let's get into the truly weird part, the absolutely bizarre new culture that would bubble up from this annual cycle of financial madness. This chart pretty much sums up the pure frenzy of every December. We already talked about the wedding spike, but you'd also see a massive spike in donations to charity. Not always from a place of pure kindness, but because, hey, giving it away feels better than just letting it vanish. And of course, with everybody trying to buy everything all at once, inflation would just go through the roof. So in a world where spending your money is a problem that needs to be solved, you know what we'd do, right? We'd create a whole new profession just to deal with it. And here it is. I want you to meet the money-burning consultant, a professional whose entire job is to help you get rid of your cash in the most efficient, creative, and fulfilling way possible before the deadline. It sounds completely absurd, but in this world, it's a perfectly logical job. And you would see the signs of this new culture absolutely everywhere. Influencers would be posting year-end spend with me videos that would get millions of views. Malls in the last week of December would look less like shopping centers and more like frantic evacuation zones. And of course, the planet would be crying out from the devastating environmental cost of this massive annual surge in overconsumption. But after exploring all this creative chaos, we kind of have to pull back and look at the more sobering reality of it all. Because at the heart of this entire thought experiment, there's a pretty cruel joke. And the cruel joke is all about what happens after we've made this huge, radical change. After we've completely re-engineered our entire financial system from the ground up, what have we actually accomplished? And this is really the key. The fundamental problems, they didn't go away. Greed just found a new, faster outlet. Inequality, as we saw, just put on a new outfit. And stress, it just changed its flavor, from the anxiety of not saving enough to the anxiety of not spending enough.
And this quote just drives the whole point home. This radical new rule didn't fix our broken relationship with money at all. It just replaced one totally dysfunctional behavior, hoarding, with another one that's just as bad, panic spending.
Ultimately, what this whole exercise really proves is something pretty fundamental about us, about human nature. It doesn't matter what rules you create, we will always find a creative, a chaotic, and yeah, maybe a slightly stupid way to adapt, often preserving the very same problems we were trying to solve in the first place. And that leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. If a change this massive, this fundamental to our entire economy, can't actually fix our deepest issues, then what possibly can?